So when I first got started in business, I thought that all I had to do was go to the IRS to get my EIN and to go to my Secretary of State to make sure to do my filings to become a legitimate LLC. Now, for my state, that's $50. So I thought after that I was all said and done. But as I grew in businesses and I grew in knowledge, I learned that there was so much more that I needed to do. And I also learned that there were two main documents that I need and that every business needs as a member, which is a owner of an LLC. First of all, hi, my name is Reggie Whitley, and I am the Visionary Brand Coach. What I do is I push people to maximize their fullest potential, and I also make sure that you do it legitimately so that we don't get in trouble with the law, right? So, number one document that every LLC and small business owner needs is the operating agreement. Your operating agreement does let you know a lot of things. First of all, before I go into that, you need an operating agreement when you first start between your EIN and your LLC because you want to have this on file for your with the Secretary of State. So your operating agreement lets other owners and members of your business and future owners and partners as well as the Secretary of State know the purpose for your business, meaning what are the services that you provide, what is the mission for your business, what kind of products do you offer, all of that. It lets the people know the purpose for your business. It also lets people know who are the members or the owners of your LLC. Are you a single member LLC? If so, just your name goes there. Are there multiple members or multiple owners? If so, everyone's name needs to be listed as well as the contributions that each member or owner has given toward the company. Next, you need to have in there your profits and losses and how those will be allocated, how those will be handled, how those will be distributed. You need to inform and explain how will the business be managed? How will the brand be managed? Will there be meetings? How often will these meetings be? There needs to be at least one annual meeting, but you have to put that in your operating agreement. You also have to explain how will the transfer of ownership go. If you decide to transfer your ownership to your child, you need to have it in your operating agreement that that is okay. And how is that so? Does everybody need to sign off on this transfer? All of the members, so they have to sign off on it? Do they have to come to a written agreement? Or is there another process that you want to go by? Can you just transfer the rights to your membership or your ownership to someone else? Or are you a permanent owner? No one else can become an owner besides you. Now, that's not smart because if that's the route that you decide to go when you die, that means that nobody can get at the business has to shut down. Speaking of shutting down, you also have to explain what will happen if the business closes or dissolves. How will the assets be handled? All of this needs to be in your operating agreement. This is a legal document, so it needs to be legitimate, and you actually have to go by those rules that you created, right? And if you want to change a rule or anything of that nature, that needs to be in there as well. How will this agreement be altered? How can it be altered? If you're a single member LLC, one thing that you want to keep in mind is that your business is separate from you. So just because you're the only owner of the business doesn't mean that you don't have to do these things and do these steps and have this paperwork. You still have to have a governing document that lets you, future owners or investors, and the Secretary of State, and even the law, in case you need to bring this up before court. You need to have something in place that lets everyone know this is how we operate as a business because the business is not your person. The business is its own separate entity. The second agreement that every LLC needs, every brand leader needs, and every person, let's just be honest, needs is the copyright transfer agreement. Your copyright transfer agreement is so important because what it does is it transfers the intellectual property rights from the designer or the creator of a thing to you. So let's say that you are a business owner and you're getting ready for a big launch and you're ready to promote your business and your grand opening. And you hire ABC Photography to do your pictures. And you're going to take those pictures and put those pictures on billboards, put your pictures on all of your marketing and promo material, your Facebook ads, and all of this. If there is no copyright transfer agreement signed between your photographer and yourself as the business, to say, hey, these no longer belong to the photographer, but they're now my property, that photographer can sue you. I don't care if you did pay your photographer. Even if you paid the photographer and you said to the photographer, hey, I'm doing this as a promotional, a business promotional photo shoot. If there's no transfer of copyright agreement signed between the two of you, that means that the person or the entity that did the pictures, meaning if you hired me to do your pictures and I just did it with my cell phone, I don't have a photography business, I own those pictures. If you hired a photography company to do your pictures, the company as an entity owns the copyright for those pictures. That is because whoever does the design or makes the creation owns the copyrights to that thing. No matter if you are the person standing in front of the camera, I would still own the rights to your pictures despite me giving them to you on a thumb drive, right? So you have to have that in place. If you hire someone to do your logo and you decide to put your logo on a business card, if you guys sit and do a copyright transfer agreement to take that ownership of the logo design from the designer to the business, your business, then that designer still owns the logo design. So that means that when you go about and you do all of your business, that designer could decide to come back later and sue you because that designer could say, they're using my intellectual property. I did this design. And what they'll be able to do is pull up their computer files and show the original file where it was created by them and where it was given to you. And if there is no copyright transfer agreement that can be proven in court, that logo designer will win. Even this is so with tattoos, this is so with anything that you get designed. There needs to be that agreement signed between the two parties to transfer the copyright. So, an example of this that I always use is Randy Orton. The WWE superstar Randy Orton, he went to a tattoo artist. That tattoo artist designed his tattoo and put it on his body, tatted him up, right? And so he didn't know that he should get a copyright transfer agreement. The WWE went through the gaming company 2K Games to create avatars, I call them, because I don't know what better to call it. But what they do is they scan every wrestler full body, head to toe, and they recreate that wrestler for the game, recreate their avatar for the game. When they recreate them for the game, we as consumers of the game can play them as a playable character. We can wrestle with them and all of that. So, what had happened was, Randy Orton's designer and tattoo artist found out that he was scanned, and in the game, she looked closely and she said, that's my design on that man's body. She sued 2K Games, the WWE, Randy Orton, and everyone else involved with the making of that game, and she won the lawsuit. She won the lawsuit because despite the tattoo being on that man's body, she owned the design because there was no copyright transfer agreement signed. And because it was used for commercial use without her permission, she won in the court of law. It took a few years, but that lady won. This can happen to anyone. This is why every brand leader, every company, every organization, every political figure, every person, if you ask me, needs a copyright transfer agreement because just because you paid a person to do a thing for you doesn't mean that you own it once they give it to you. Now, it's a little different if you get it, you do something for somebody and you're their employee, if you're their paid employee. But if you haven't hired a person as your employee, that's your photographer, they're just a independent contractor. That's not so. Anybody who is hired or that does it for free owns what they do until there is that written agreement signed. So, the two things that every business owner needs: operating agreement and a copyright transfer agreement. You need both because you never know when you're going to have to present them. Your operating agreement, you want to present it to the Secretary of State when you file to get your LLC, and you also want to keep it in your folders, your files, your documentation. your copyright transfer agreement, you want to keep a copy in your personal files on your computer so that it can be easily edited whenever you get someone to do any kind of service for you, where they have to create something or give you any kind of design, so that you can go ahead and put their name where it belongs, put the information and what they're given, and have them assign it to make sure that you own those rights. If you want these two, I do have these two examples with samples of both an operating agreement and a copyright transfer agreement. All you have to do is go to the link in my bio right here on YouTube, and you'll be able to get that link. And if you're watching on a mobile phone, the link should have popped up by now in the top corner to let you see where you can purchase a sample of each of those agreements that are very important for you to keep.